It is August. So, we're getting close, right? The kids going back to school. Summer is about to end. We're gonna start the grind again, right? The season's about to change, and of course, the holiday season is coming. Who's excited for the holidays? Right? Raise your hand. You're excited for the holidays. I'm not really that excited because every time holidays come, I always think about, okay, now I have to worry about buying things for people. Sometimes buying things that we don't need. So I don't really like that. And I prefer the minimalist lifestyle where I don't accumulate a lot of stuff, and I tell people don't buy me anything. If you want to give me stuff, just give me the money so I can put in the investment. So that's a great way to do it, right? If people are planning to give you stuff, it'd be like, hey, I got a Zelle QR code, I got a Cash App, I got Vimeo, I got PayPal. Just send it to me and just write down this is a gift for you. And I'll put it into my IRA account or my saving account so I can make more money out of it instead of buying me a toaster I don't need. So that's just a reminder, the seasons are changing. Everyone here wants to grow more in this season. Like it's already been close to what, 8 months? We want to get to the next level in our life, next level in our business, next level in our progress, right? We all want to get to the next level. Now, you all here for a reason. That's why you show up. You don't have a strong reason, then you wouldn't bother to sit here and listen to me talk. And I know there's a few new faces. My name is Charlie, by the way. I'm Justin's business partner, co-founder of AMZ Seafood. I started my business in 2009. I've been doing multiple businesses. I built a business that generates $60 million a year. And I also exited that business as well. So, but, I tell people that just not because I'm bragging, is because some people are like, hey, why should I listen, right? So I'm just sharing. So I want to make sure you guys are here to listen for a reason, not to just show up and be like, who's this random fellow talking? But recently I was talking to a friend and, I have friends who are doing really well. And then once in a while you have one or two that just not doing so well, right? Not everybody's going to be doing well all the time. Not all of us going to be doing well. He kept making mistakes in his past, right? Made mistakes now. He feels stuck. A lot of the reason why he feels stuck because he feels insecure, worried, uncertain, unconfident in himself. And a lot of it is his own mindset, his own negative pattern. We have that too. I have that sometimes. And the reason for that is just our old foundation that was built from our past, from when we were young, from when we were growing up. We built up this unstable foundation, and now we're standing on that. And so, today we make poor decisions. We do certain things. We get upset really easily. We get frustrated so easily. We get scared so easily. We get nervous so easily. And it's because we're standing on something that's shaky. And so he feels stuck, right? Some of us feel stuck, stuck in his business not moving the way he wants to. He's stuck in his marriage the way he wants to. His marriage is stuck as well. His relationship with other people, maybe with his kids, are stuck. And some of you might be feeling like you're running around instead of, run around in a circle with your head cut off instead of running forward, right? I feel like that sometimes. So this past weekend, I was telling you guys why my body was hurting so bad. It was because I ran a 30K, which is 18.6 miles. I went to this park called Colorado Bend State Park. If you guys is anyone a runner here? Raise your hand if you're a runner. Nobody? Okay, nobody's a runner here. Okay, just me, maybe one or two. Some of you guys have to go outside and run. It's good. It's good for your health. It's all right if you don't run. But this trail run was hard. It was a rough trail run. I wasn't really running. I was kind of climbing up a hill, a rocky hill. There was rocks. There was like tree stumps. There was branches, tree falling down. There was more rocks. There was a lot of tall grass hiding the rocks. And it was hot. So we started at 7 p.m. at night, 7:30 p.m. at night. I drove 3 hours down to close to Austin, was west of Waco. And we drove to this place called Colorado Bend State Park. No power, no signal. We just drove down there. I went with a friend of mine. And how I came upon this race was that a friend of mine asked me, hey, you want to go train? Go for a run? I was like, sure, why not? So I committed without thinking about what it was. So I was just like, sure, why not? And I'm a person that keeps my word. So when I make commitments like that, I can't back out of it. So you know, if I did, I'll be breaking promises to myself, and I don't like doing that. And so I didn't have any expectation of what the result was going to be or how the run was going to be. But my friend told me it was hard, and so I just assumed that was just a hard run, nothing big. I'm like, I've done hard runs before, but man, that thing was like 18 miles of pain. And like from my friend, he already told me that this is hard. I didn't believe him. He runs 30 miles a week. That's how he trains, like 30 miles a week. Like it's nothing for this guy. And he's like, this is hard. But I didn't believe him. So when I showed up, I was like, holy moly, there's not a lot of people here. There's like maybe 50 to 60 people. I'm like, I should be scared. Not a lot of people here. Not very popular race, okay? Through the woods in the middle of nowhere at night. So we ran from 7:30 at night to whatever time you finish, okay? And I did run, so I met his friend, one of his friend named Jonathan. And this guy was doing 60K, double what I did, 37.3 miles on the same trail run. And this guy trains and run constantly as well. And he's also in his 50s. So if any one of you guys are below 50 right now, you have no excuses to go do something hard like this, okay? And there were women out there too that were older than me that were running past me as well. So I thought I had an advantage. I did not. This guy was older than me and he was running further than me. So he was prepared for this 60K before that, you know. He was ready for this 60K, but before that, he had done another one and he almost quit. Why was he thinking about quitting? Was it his nutrition, his physical shape, his preparation? What was it? And the one thing that he shared was that his mind wasn't right. So my friend Sam ran with him and lifted him up, encouraged him, pushed him, you know, spoke life over him, you know, just tell him like, man, you can do it. You train for this. You've done this many times already. This race is the third time he did the 60K, which is 37 miles. And so it took him 18 miles to kind of like got out of that negative mindset that was stopping him on this rocky trail that you run on. So another funny thing is I met another guy who did 8 miles and he quit. I stopped at the station where we get water and stuff, and he was like, man, I'm ready to go. I want to go home and go to bed. And so one of the volunteer, you know, they got into the car and then he drove him back to the base camp and he went home. Like literally he said, I'm ready to go home after the run and go to bed, and he didn't finish. And the truth is he came in without preparing his mind to finish. So why am I sharing this? Why is this important? The most important thing anyone can do is really develop success is to grow the way you think.
Recording in progress.
During unfavorable condition, during situations and circumstances that are not right. Because how you think will determine how you act. And how you act when things are not right is what's going to determine if you're successful or not. It's way more important than when things are going smooth and easy, right? Like, dude, if things are always easy, then you wouldn't have to make right decision because, I mean, things are easy. It's already right, like comfortable, right? Just because your environment isn't what you expected doesn't mean you change your mindset. So I know you might be wondering, like, sometimes, you know, I just do things without thinking. So let's talk about that. Like let's stop living like you do things automatically without thinking, okay? You eventually make bad decision, honestly. If you did things without thinking, you will make bad decision. It will happen. And sometimes we live on that autopilot. And let's talk about where we operate from. There's two places that we operate from: the autopilot and the what you call it, the autonomous. So the autopilot and the autonomous, and then we have the logical thinking side of our brain. So let's go into a little bit scientific, you know, awareness. So we have this thing called the prefrontal cortex. It's the top of our brain. So I'll just do a quick explanation. This is where we think. This is where a lot of our logic is. Top of our brain, the front side of our brain. And you can look this up on Google. But if you do things that are illogical or impulsive, it's usually because you're not thinking straight. You're a bit crooked. I'm just kidding, but you're not thinking straight. You're not logical. So there's been studies and data that show that your prefrontal cortex can shrink in size, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And I'll share a little bit in a moment. But if you are struggling with taking action or making the right decision, like throughout the day, you have to understand that because of the prefrontal cortex being suppressed or being, not taken care of, that's why you make poor decisions. And that's where your logic sits. So the prefrontal cortex is very important part of your brain that helps you make decision, you plan, how you behave, your personality expression. And there's a few things that does impair and block that from functioning properly. So, and it does lead to, having a hard time thinking, having a hard time problem solving, having a hard time processing everything, right? Process. You ever met someone who, like, you tell them something and they don't seem to understand. They can't seem to process because sometimes they're not using their brain. Have you ever met an angry person or a person who's offended? Raise your hand if you ever offended anyone. Who have you offended this week or last week? Raise your hand if you offended somebody. Okay. So, okay, so I'm pretty sure somebody offended somebody. You offended your wife, you offended your friends, maybe you offended your kids, right? You offended somebody. You got offended a client or employee, you offended somebody. And when they get offended, it's an emotional state. And so when you speak to them logically, it doesn't go through because they're now emotional. They're overwhelmed, they're frustrated, they're angry. And I talked about this topic previously in other Monday Mindset, but when we're in a place where we're overwhelmed with stress, we're annoyed we're offended, you can't think. And so that affects our prefrontal cortex. So let's talk about some of the things that makes it smaller, make it not work right. So the number one thing is stress. Of course, you have like high level of stress all the time, and you don't give yourself a break. It's gonna hurt your prefrontal cortex from working properly. So stress, so constant heavy stress, and you don't know how to relieve that, that's gonna happen. Lack of sleep, of course. So make sure you get more sleep. So lack of sleep, using alcohol, using drugs. That's why people are more fun when they drink. Yeah, who's the fun one that get when they drink? They get more fun, right? Oh no, not only some of you. I get more fun, but I'm always more fun anyway. So I probably get way more fun. But I don't drink anymore, so I'm already fun. But if you guys, have friends that are like just so like shy and closed off, and next thing you know, they get 2 shots in. That's when they get excited and they're like open up. They're like a new person. Yeah. So it's really inhibiting your logical brain. Eating poorly, so bad diets, not eating enough vitamins, minerals, and of course not omega-3 fatty acids. So poor nutrition, just eating a lot of junk food, suppress the prefrontal cortex. Severe pain, if you're in pain all the time. When you have a lot of pain, it stresses you out, it tires you out, and it causes you to suppress the prefrontal cortex. Crazy thing is multitasking also suppress the prefrontal cortex. Why? Because you're trying to process too much information at the same time. And so you get tired. And when you get tired, you can't think logically. So stop trying to do 3 or 4 things at once. Practice doing one thing at a time. Set a timer for it. Of course, environmental distraction, loud noises, notifications, just people yelling, screaming around you, just anything that distracts you. And the last thing is, of course, lack of physical exercise. So when you don't get enough oxygen to your body, into your brain, you won't think straight. So these are some of the things that suppress the prefrontal cortex, the place where you think properly. So now you understand a way to, like these are the things that can suppress your logical thinking. So I suggest figuring out how to, improve in some areas, but that's not the important part of this conversation. This conversation is really talking about what happened when you lose that logical side of your brain. So when that part of your brain is suppressed, your reptilian brain shows up. I don't want to go into much detail because it's, too much neuroscience that you don't really need to know. But the only way you act, the way you act when you're tired and frustrated and irritated and upset, is because it's unconsciously moving your body, moving your reaction, moving your emotion, right? Like when you get tired, you get upset, you get stressed. What do? You might eat, you might stress eat, you might drink some alcohol, you might react to people's words a lot. You get more offended easier. And so the term reptilian brain refers to the oldest part of your brain in evolutionary terms, which usually focus on the basic survival instinct and automatic behavior. So the concept is a part of the triune brain model by this neuroscientist called Paul D. MacLean in the 1960s. So he did a lot of research on this. But the reptilian complex, the oldest part of your brain, is responsible for the instinctual behavior related to survival. And so basic survival, such as running away, you stay in the fight, or you just stop and you freeze, reproductive behavior, routine behavior and
Oh,
habits. That's really what we
I
want to
guess so.
focus on. That's kind of like what we want to focus on. And then you have your motor skills and your coordination skill, right? Some things that you've done repeatedly over time. And it's really easy. So back to when you get irritated, angry, frustrated, and anxious, or when you're hurt, you do all these things. You stress eat, you drink, maybe you watch a lot of TV shows to run away, you drink alcohol, you do drugs, right? You're running towards something that's automatic and familiar because you've done that for so many years. So what is the habit? Think about what is the habit that you've been doing. Some people actually run towards work more as well. Some people make work that thing that they run away from because they use work as a place they feel safe and comfortable because that's their identity. And whatever struggles and challenges that they have somewhere else, they run towards back to work. So there's a lot of reason we do a lot of things. Doesn't mean it's always negative. Doesn't mean it's always positive. But if you're not giving yourself time to recoup, to optimize your brain function so that your prefrontal cortex actually work correctly, I don't want to get too scientific here, but when you don't have a healthy prefrontal cortex or a logic center, you're not going to be able to receive, you're not going to be able to learn, and you're not going to be able to have good self-control. And that's what's needed for you to take that next action. And your way of thinking is what's going to help you grow your life to the next level. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's what Henry Ford said. He's a pretty successful guy, so I'm assuming he's right about that. So what is the way of thinking that most successful people have? And today I want to share a little bit about that. And this is a way for you guys to start reflecting and reframing your way of thinking, because I think about this all the time as well, how I can get better at it. So here's my top 8 mindset, my way of thinking to help me be more resilient, to help me succeed in any situation or circumstances. Because are we the type of people that wait for timing to be perfect, wait for the condition to be perfect? That will never happen. Remember that. Those conditions will never exist. The only thing that we can do is be more resilient. And of course, I learned the hard way, and I'm sure all of us will learn the hard way here as well. So here's the 8 mindset that you need to start to becoming more resilient. Okay, number 1, let's think about luck. So most people think happy and successful people are lucky, right? Right? They're lucky. And complain when they're not. They do complain when they're not lucky. But people who are happy and successful, for me, I always think I'm lucky, or I'm going to get lucky. And so I plan for it. And guess what? Who gets lucky, right? Most of the time it's the people who think that they're lucky. So have that mindset. Luck will come. So prepare for it, meaning show up, do the work, do the product research. because you're preparing yourself to get lucky. If you don't open the door, how do you know you're going to get lucky on the other side, right? It's like people who are like, I'm waiting for the perfect job. It's like I'm waiting for the perfect job, but then they don't go out and look for a job. They sit at home and wait for the perfect job instead of going out and look for it. What a silly idea, right? You just wait for the job to come instead of going out and looking for it. So you have to do your part for the luck to come. So number two, outlook. Most people think I'm never going to succeed or win. And you know what? They're not wrong. And but happy and successful people think my life is going to be great or my life is going to be better. And they're not wrong either. So you have to choose. Is your life going to be great? Is your life going to be better? Or you're going to say the opposite, which is my life's not going to get any better. So either way, you're not wrong. Number three, gratitude. Most people think if I just get a little more, then I'll be happy. Yet more is never enough. More is not going to make them happy. It seems like more actually makes you more greedy. Happy and successful people think I am blessed. I have so much to be thankful for. And they choose to be blessed daily. And they are. And so that's why we do gratitude moments every day, not just Monday. Remind yourself what you're grateful for. Trust me, you can't bury the money with you. You can have as much money as you want. It's not going with you. You're actually giving it to your kids anyway, because when you die, they're going to be on spending it. And they might blow it. Who knows? So don't be grateful for the money. Be grateful for the experience. Be grateful for the life. Be grateful to be on this journey. Number four, work. Most people think, what's the least I can do to get paid? And they get paid, but not that much. Successful people and happy people think, how can I make an impact? How can I do more to earn more? And of course, they earn accordingly. They earn more because they're trying to do more to earn more. If you're a business owner, I know some of you guys here have experience in business, and some of you guys are maybe team members or employees of a business. Like, go to your employer, or if an employee or team member of yours come up to you and be like, hey, I want to get paid more. 100% you get a no. But if you change the conversation to, how can I do more to help you make more? And how can I earn more by helping you make more? You'd be like, man, that's a good question, right? Like, you'd be like, man, hey, you know what? I'll find something to do. I'll find something you can do more of, and I'll pay you more. So there's different ways of thinking. There's people who just want to get paid. And you know what? I've been around a lot of those people, and they go nowhere. They're just going to get paid for what they are. And they're going to get stuck there. So successful people always have the mindset of, how can I make an impact, or how can I do more? All right, number five, effort. Most people think I want to have fun in my free time. And they do. Right? It's fun when you have free time, and, you have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. But successful people and happy people, how can I improve myself during my free time? And they do, and eventually they have more fun. Because if you're willing to improve yourself right now, eventually you feel like you made progress. And when you feel like you made progress, you feel happier because you made progress in your life instead of feeling stuck. But when you're a person that always chase after like the fun, like my life is boring, so I'm just going to do something fun. Eventually, it's just going to be empty, and it's going to continue to feed itself. It's going to be empty, and you don't feel progress at all. But that's from my own experience anyway. I used to chase fun all the time. I used to have a lot of fun, but eventually it got old. So that's from my own personal experience. Maybe you guys might feel differently. All right. Number six, pain. Most people think I'll hurt anyone who hurt me. And you know what? They never do. They never hurt the other person, but they do. But the cut never heal. Right? You never get them back, but then you never heal from that either. But successful and happy people think I'm hurt but by forgiving, I can move on. And they do. So it's good, something good for you guys to remind yourself that, have this expectation. I have this expectation, okay? I learned this a long time ago. People will fail you, and you will fail other people. So don't expect them to be perfect, and don't expect yourself to be perfect. It doesn't matter if you're married, you have a girlfriend, you have kids, your parents. Always expect that somebody will fail you because they will say something wrong. Maybe they will do something that will hurt you. But know that that will happen, and just say, pre-plan a response, which is, I'm going to forgive them and move on. Because holding on to something and wasting energy on that is actually taking you away from moving on to make progress in your life. You're going to be stuck. We don't want to be stuck. All right. Number 7, happiness. Most people think I'll never be happy, and they never are. And successful people and happy people think I'm choosing to be happy today. And they always are. So you have a choice. Things might not look great today. Things might not be going your way. For me, I always lean into God a lot. Whenever I'm not feeling good, I'm just like, you know what? No matter what happened, everything will be okay. God got my back. God got a plan for my life. I'm happy that, I'm healthy. I'm not dying. My kids are healthy. Nobody died in my family. I'm so grateful for that. And you know what? If the time does come where maybe my parents pass away, I have to choose to be happy. I mean, you can be sad for a couple of days, but you still have to choose, right? Eventually, you still have to say, hey, it's time to move on. It's time to process that. I'm not saying you can't, you can choose to be happy all the time, but just having the mindset that I will choose to be happy. Number 8, success. Most people think I'll fail, I'll never be successful, and they prove themselves right. Successful people and happy people think I failed and I learned. I'm now closer to succeeding. And they are. So really, it's how you think. It's the way you think. The way you think will then determine how you behave. All right? How you behave will then eventually lead to the actions that you take. So hopefully these 8 areas of thinking, 8 ways of thinking will help you reframe some of the situations in your life, maybe some circumstances in your life that might have made an impact where it wasn't favorable, wasn't good, right? Didn't turn out the way you wanted. So that you become a more resilient version of yourself, because resilient is the only thing that matters. How can you be stronger than the situation that you're in? Man, just because life is going to be hard, regardless if you think this way or not. Like, you can choose not to think this way. You can choose to think like everybody else, and life's still going to be hard. But if you start reframing your situation to something more positive, you'll have a better chance of growing through the pain. Growing through the pain, okay? Not going through pain. Don't go through it, because man, you might not ever get out, because you might be stuck in it for a while. But when you grow through it, you grow out of it. And this is the only way you can develop resilience in a world filled with distraction, comfort, pleasure, running away, right? Running away from something instead of running towards something. So your way of thinking will determine if you take action or not. So stay positive and keep showing up. But I want to share one more thing before we drop off. Only a couple minutes, all right? One minute. I did finish the run, right? You guys might be wondering, did I finish? It's 18 miles. Right? 18 miles. I did finish, but let me tell you what happened. It's gonna be a moment. It's gonna be quick. So my body hurt when I started. I barely could breathe because, I wasn't prepared for this thing. My calf was cramping. My right foot was hurting. Everything was hurting. Then it started thundering. And then I was like, I pray to God, I hope it does not rain. Then it started raining in the middle of the night. And I hope it didn't rain so hard, and then it started raining harder. The wind started blowing. It was slippery, the rocks, the mud. I have some short clips I recorded as I was running. So I was running through the mud, soaking wet. It was thundering. I'm like, please don't get hit by lightning. Please don't slip. It was getting cold. And you know what I said? I said, thank God for this cooling rain, because I was getting hot. You know, I didn't overheat. So I saw the rainstorm as a blessing, and I just ran head on, and we just kept running. And during that run, I mean, I prayed to God a lot. I prayed for strength, and I got it. I prayed for less pain, and I got it, because there was a moment where I was like, man, it's so painful. I cannot take another step, but I just had to keep taking another step. And the one thing, I came there with this mentality of finishing this thing, no matter what. That was the mentality. I was like, I'm just gonna finish no matter what. And I wanted to let you guys know there was a terrible idea. Don't do that. Don't sign up for a run and not prepared. That was me coming in something not prepared. I haven't ran for like 8 months because I have this thing called plantar fasciitis, which is the bottom of my foot, my heel, it just hurts when I step on it. And I was like, you know what? Screw it, I haven't run. He was like, hey, it's a training run, man. It's gonna help you. And you might run the pain away. I'm like, okay, good idea. Sure, I'll try it. And so I did. I didn't prepare my body. So literally I was struggling on this run. Man, my jog was slower than someone walking. So literally people were walking past me, and how slow my jog was, because I was in pain. My legs was not ready for it. So what helped? My God helped me, my mental preparation before I started, which is I'm gonna finish this. And then my nutrition. So I had a long conversation with God during this 6.5 hour run. Okay. I didn't finish till 2 in the morning. I was the last one to finish my 30K run. There was other guys out there running 60K, so they didn't finish till 6:30 in the morning. I just ran from 7:30 to like 2 in the morning. And all of that helped me stay positive, really just repeating all these positive phrases to myself, like, I'm gonna finish, I'm gonna finish, I'm gonna make it. That's what you need to do in your life. Right? I finished last, but it doesn't matter. It's about finishing. That's the point of this whole thing anyway. It's about finishing. It's not about winning first place. I mean, you can, if that's your life. Sure, you can win first place if you want, but in business, it's about lasting. It's about finishing what you started. That's how you win. Just because I finished last this past weekend, this race, doesn't mean I'm not going to finish first the next one. There's a difference between, going in there with the intention of winning first versus going in there with the intention of finishing. And sometimes you just need to focus on finishing. It's not about finishing first. So it was a training run for me. So hey, I'm not looking for like cheers or encouragement. Hey, I don't care if I finish last. All right, I was the last guy. They thought I died on the trail. Luckily, I had a GPS strapped onto me. They're like, dude, we thought you weren't gonna make it. We thought you fell off a cliff. Because there was a moment where the dot stopped moving, and he was like, man, what's wrong? Right? He told me, he was like, dude, I saw it on the GPS. So they had these little bands wrapped around your knee to track, to make sure if you stay in one spot for too long. They're like, oh my God, either you can get bitten by a bear, a wildcat, you slip and bust your head open, you stab yourself with a branch. I don't know, right? A whole bunch of things was happening. But, I tried and I finished. That's all that mattered, and really in everything that we do today, it's really about building that resilience. My strength comes from God. My strength comes from my family, my purpose for my family. Right. And I do these things. I run towards pain so that I can be stronger when the real trainings happens, right? When real situations happen. So for us, you have to think about this. Everything that you do is training. How you think, how you act, how you respond to things is training. So get stronger, get more resilient. That's all I have for today. Nothing else. So thank you guys.